Hi everyone, Gabi here. I am an NLP master practitioner, an EFT coach, and a law of assumption coach here at Create Your Future. And thank you so much for joining me as we dive deep into the law of assumption to figure out how to make it work for you in your life. Really quickly, just a couple of offerings. I am hosting a client appreciation sale that begins November 11th, USA. So make sure that if you are on a time difference, that you recognize that. It might be the day before, the day after. But I am offering 20% off of the first 100 sessions booked beginning November 11th. So if you are stuck, if you're frustrated, if you just don't understand how the law of assumption works, or it's just not working for you right now with how you're doing it and how you're applying it, go ahead and book a session with me. I would love to get a plan together for you and really make it work for you, okay? It's supposed to be fun. Let's make it fun. Also, I am currently still selling my affirmation tracks. These affirmation tracks are beautiful. They have been produced and created with NLP techniques in order to really take you into the alpha state so that you can reprogram your subconscious mind and really embed that new story so that you can talk to and bring forth the version of you who already has your desire. So go ahead and check that out. I have plenty of success for my clients with that. Everything from landing a new career to manifesting large sums of money. We're talking like 10,000 US dollars within 24 hours of listening. And also I've had clients that have been in no contact with their SPs, listen to my SP affirmation track, and were in contact and had a date with their SP within 3 days. So go ahead and go check that out. Okay, so we are going to talk this week about physical appearance changes. Now, I have a client success story and I'm going to share this with you, but the first thing that I want to talk to you about is give you some background around this client. So this client, she's such a beautiful soul. I love working with her. She historically has had a belief that the Scandinavian, Norwegian look or appearance of a female is the premier beautiful appearance. So blonde hair, blue eyes, more of those Scandinavian type features. And this particular client actually lives in Europe, but does not live in an area where that is the norm, okay? So one of her stories that she has is that, or that she had, she doesn't have it anymore, is that because she does not have blonde hair and blue eyes, she's not considered beautiful, and that has become an issue with her relationship, specifically with her current SP. And also it has become an issue with how people view her and how people see her. Now, she is actually in the spotlight. She's an artist. And so for her, this was a really big story that was kind of conditioning her other manifestations, meaning that because she was holding this story that was the only real beauty and that people only saw individuals with those characteristics as being the most beautiful, she was actually holding her own manifestations back because she was telling herself that she had to be beautiful in order to have her manifestations. So her manifestations around her career, finishing her degree, and also her SP. So we had one 1-hour session, and I just want to tell you how this went. So she writes this: Dear Gabi, I decided to split my feedback story into 2 because this time things were different and we covered everything compared to what I had shared in my first session. So she worked, I think, a long time ago with an old coach. We identified 2 main manifestation goals out of our session, and I really took notes. I started the work, and in 24 hours, I got the first success story, and it's something huge. I decided to close the chapter telling you about it since you had also intended for me to be a great success story. This is the fruit of our work. We did great, and I want to share it before moving on to my second large goal or manifestation. So her first goal, she says, realizing it was actually true that I am the most beautiful person in my world, not just inside, but also outside. And that I kept seeing myself that way and being rejected if not looking like that, because I was creating it to motivate me to be my happiest self also, not just outwardly, but inwardly as well. And that mattered to me. And even physical beauty is a value. It's art. I can create it, but I can also be it. So she talked a lot about, hold on one second. She's talking a little bit about her second manifestation. Okay, here we go. I took notes from the recording, and you were very heavy on the fact that I would have attracted what I considered actually real. So I want to talk about this. I'm going to make a more extended video on this, but I want to clarify this. So when I mentioned to you that we don't manifest what we want, we manifest what we believe to be real for ourselves. It means not that we feel it real, okay? You don't have to feel it real, and you don't have to believe the intentions that you're telling yourself. But when I say that we manifest what we believe to be real, meaning we manifest what we believe we can have. We manifest, if something seems too far away from us, if it seems like such a big goal and we can't have that, then we struggle with that until we change the story of how we see ourselves, okay? So when I say we manifest what we believe to be real, it means we manifest what we naturally accept that we can have in our everyday life, meaning that if we have a story around, I can't have this because of XYZ, it's only that story that's preventing you from having it, okay? It's not that you don't believe you have it. It's not that you don't feel it. You don't have to feel anything, okay? Let me just remind you of that. Your feelings are a manifestation of your thoughts, okay? So if you're really good at identifying your feelings, that's fantastic. Use that as like a barometer or a temperature gauge of where your thoughts are, because your feelings come after your thoughts, okay? But you don't have to feel like you have something already, okay? You don't have to like set an extra place at the table. You don't have to like pretend you're talking to your SP as your partner on the phone on your drive home. You don't have to do those things. Now, if those things help you to tell yourself that you can have this and it's okay, then great. Awesome. Keep doing it. Okay. But if those things are making your mind push back and your mind says to you, that's not real, you don't have that, then I would suggest you change what you're doing. Okay. The whole point of using techniques is to, what coaches say, saturate your mind, which basically just means to make your mind accustomed to the new belief concept or core belief, okay? So whether that is, I am now the version of me who's in a committed and loving relationship, and I have the most amazing partner in the world who is always there for me, who makes me feel safe and content and secure, who I feel like I can have an open and honest conversation with and always share my feelings and not be rejected and it not turn into an argument because I have a safe space. Great. That's what you're doing it for. Okay. But your techniques are only to move you to the version of you who then accepts that belief as real. Okay. So you don't have to believe your intentions. If you are using affirmations and you're telling yourself that I am married, I am married, I am married, and you're doing that, you don't have to believe that you are married. You don't have to wear a fake wedding band and tell yourself that you're married all the time, okay? What you do have to do is move yourself into the version of you who you are as a married partner, which means, what are you thinking of? As a married partner, I guarantee you are not thinking about, oh, I'm married. Unless somebody asks, right? Or somebody talks about, what did you do this weekend? Oh, my husband and I went to da-da-da, or my wife and I went to da-da-da, right? Most of the time, married people are not sitting there thinking about, oh, I'm married, right? They're thinking about life on the daily, okay? And that is really what Neville Goddard talks about when he's talking about assuming and feeling it real. He is talking about you going to the place where it is a natural thought for you. So you want to reach for the thoughts where it's natural for you to be thinking, I already am this person. Okay. All right. So we go back to her success story. So I took notes from the recording. You were very heavy on the fact that I would have attracted what I consider real. So instead of going against the scientific side of my brain, I went with it. I took a few hours on 100% focus to research the most attractive traits according to relevant sources in this case, both globally or US and nationally from my country. Even if I thought that research would just prove me wrong, but you had told me to trust the observer. So this particular individual comes from a science studies background. And so we were talking about the law of assumption and quantum physics and the observer effect. So that's what she means by you had told me to trust the observer. That even SP once told me that I was the perfect one and I was the one thinking all the bad things I created just because I was neglecting my image of myself. I was telling myself that I needed to have these particular colors, especially the hair blonde and the eyes blue, but I was too different from that. So how could I believe it? It was hard. So I went with logic instead, with a very skeptical, analytical mind, and it worked. Because even I would have never believed it, like that psychologist who had once said, it was actually the truth, and realizing it for real and really closing that chapter would have started my own actual beautiful life. So here's what I found, and I even wrote an original song about it. I am telling you exclusively because it will be added to my next work. And she tells me she's releasing that soon in December. So she said, yes, indeed, the most attractive eye color was blue, which, by the way, is my favorite color. That means everyone is you pushed out. I discovered that girls who, I discovered that there is a high rate for girls who are considered beautiful to actually be 70 to 80% fake and only 30 to 20% real. So my idea of them being 100% fully natural was the actual illusion. Accepting that everyone does a little something or a lot of it to improve their appearance according to general taste. And actually, my grandmother always said that in a way, but that wasn't all. There was a much more extraordinary truth. The fake parts they were adding to improve their appearance, like I learned that everyone does, depending on how they perceive themselves as more confident. Now I know all those things I naturally, genetically, and culturally have for real. These girls were wearing Italian clothes. They were using makeup and filters and surgery to have my actual lip size. And all makeup styles were done to achieve my facial bone structure of the oval face and almond-shaped eyes, like the ancient Greek statues, like my hair under the rain that I have because of my real ancient Greek heritage. They were using fake tan to have my real skin tone, coming from real direct Mediterranean culture and genes. Girls are doing crazy diets and exercises to have a body that is exactly like mine in its normal, healthy state without doing anything but loving it and eating what I can digest. Some girls were actually refraining from eating or eating things that I consider to be actually poison because of my own intolerances and real allergies. So I am the one who is fit eating whatever she likes. I found that girls were using serums, methods, and a lot of techniques to have my quantity of hair, that they were dyeing their hair blonde and they had to dye their eyebrows. And many people had to do their eyebrows, while I was born with real blonde, perfectly shaped for exactly what girls are shaping their eyebrows to be. And I didn't look like that compared to when I was a toddler because I had on the wrong makeup sometimes and more. I found that many people were using surgery to have my real French nose, to also have my real curves. They were using cultures I'm really connected to just as an aesthetic. Well, I had a real story with them. And finally, they could do all the surgeries in the world, but they could never have my bones. And also, she's talking about her heritage. Because of where she's from, she already has the particular like figure that everyone is looking for. She said, all of that made me the perfect combination on every modern scale. I could have just added some good blue eye lenses, which add a detail of an enhancing frame to my hazel eyes just because I like them. And everyone adds something, so could I. Plus, as soon as I started choosing, I discovered more people than I thought used them. So with those and a little bit of makeup and my 2 silver strands reminding me of my superpowers, I looked exactly like my dream of what I thought beautiful is. And I realized it was indeed true. In my dreams, I've always seen the future me that had always been me. I just had to become it. And even when I'm going to be old with glaucoma, as you said, and perhaps full white hair, or even just my already real one, since I was a toddler blonde, even then, as an old person, I will still have my dear grandmother's genes with full, less frizzy hair and the same effect that blue lenses do to me now, but for real. Because I was always used to her to say, I love that blue frame around your hazel brown eyes. And my relatives were like, that's glaucoma, but it was beautiful, just like my lenses, and that's what it'll be. So I became objectively the most attractive woman in the world because all the most attractive traits, I already had them. I just had to open my eyes to see. So to the point now, she's saying that all of these girls that are around her are always commenting about her and really are obsessed with her. And that with her new singer-songwriter colleague was telling her she was beautiful and that they wrote a song together. And in that song, she had written that the canon was in me with the intention of what happened today. She says, I am the canon is me. This is crazy, but it is true. The veil disappeared, and now I do see all the little flaws that everyone else outside of me has, but also I see all the beauty too. No one is on a pedestal any longer. I see their inner beauty more, and I know that my beauty, both inside and outside, is a great, great value that I'm honored to have, and I'm proud of it for what it actually is. And I was right about that. I'd been right the whole time. So now that I see it for real, even the rest of the world sees it now. So this was epic. Thanks, Gabi. I promise to be a double success. Like the lenses, which were an action I had to take, I have to send some job applications, but I'll talk to you soon. So basically, let me sum this up, okay? So we had this beautiful hour-long session where we talked about quite a few things. Sorry about that. We talked about quite a few things. We talked about SP. We talked about physical appearance changes. We talked about money. We talked about her career. We talked about her education. And she really had this block that she couldn't have money. She couldn't have a successful career. She couldn't have a successful SP relationship because she herself wasn't this beautiful Nordic Scandinavian woman, right? So we talked a lot about how we decide for ourselves what is good or bad, what is beautiful or not beautiful, what is real or not real. We make that decision. We decide. And in doing that, we talk through what beauty is to her. And it's not just the physical appearance components that she's talking about, but when she really started to look at what beauty is to her and she started to ask herself, well, why do I see this type of a woman as being beautiful compared to me? She started to do some research, which, you know me, I'm all about going for the logical mind, right? So she started to dig in and look at research. She started to find evidence to support, hear me, evidence to support the intention that she herself is beautiful. Okay. So what happens when we start actively consciously manifesting is we start taking ourselves to the version of us who already has our desire. Then our outside world conforms to that, and then it confirms it by bringing in your manifestation. And that's exactly what happened with her. She was like, okay, I know I can find evidence to support that I am beautiful. I know I can. So she started looking for it. She started looking in what kind of surgeries are people having and why are they having those surgeries? Well, she realized it was because people are wanting to have the shape of the face that she has. People are wanting to have their eye shape the way that she has. People are wanting their bone structure to look the way that she does. People are having surgery to have her body style. Okay. People are going on fad diets to have her body style. Okay. She started realizing that most people, now this isn't her reality, right? That most people that are considered beautiful do something to enhance their own beauty, whether that be makeup, whether that be, plastic surgery, whatever, right? Whatever you're choosing to do, she found that most people are doing that. And for her, she was like, well, wait a minute. They're all doing that to get this body type or to get this physical appearance change, but I already have that. That's already who I am now. Okay. Now, she talks about these blue lenses, right? She does wear these like blue colored contact lenses, but they're not like crazy blue. They're just enough. Now, her natural eyes are so beautiful. They're hazel. They're like a green and brown. They're so pretty. And so she wears these little contact lenses to kind of enhance those and kind of have like an outward ring of blue, right? But she was telling herself that, that in and of itself just enhances her own natural beauty. And so when she came to me, she was adamant that she was not beautiful. She was adamant that she didn't have these features, these characteristics that she was telling herself that Scandinavian or Norwegian women have, and that is why they're beautiful. She was adamant about that. She could not see this, right? And so we put together an intention plan. So the first step was for her to find evidence to support the fact that she was beautiful, which she did. She found that evidence. Then she realized in finding that evidence that she herself already had these physical characteristics. Okay. Now you're going to ask me, okay, what about the appearance change? Okay. Let me tell you, this is amazing. The first session I had with her, we had a session for an hour, like I said, I did not see her as having, in my reality, she did not have blonde hair. She had her hazel eyes, but I didn't see her as having any of these physical features that she herself is talking about, right? I did not. Guys, after our first session, when we had our second session this past weekend, she looked completely different. She had this beautiful cheek structure. Her hair was blonde. Her eyes were popping. She looked full of life and she glowed. And you know what? She didn't even have to tell me that she saw herself as beautiful. It radiated from her. So I am telling you, she had a complete physical appearance change. The girl that I talked to last week versus the girl I talked to this weekend, two separate women, I swear. Like, it was the craziest thing. I almost was like, do I have the right client right now? But I want to remind you that anything is possible. She literally changed herself from what she perceived to be an ugly duckling to this beautiful swan. She did that. And she did that by leaning into her logical mind and telling her logical mind, this is who I am now. This is it. I'm no longer accepting all these other things. And look, I'm going to find evidence. I'm going to find evidence in my 3D world, which you can do. Now, remember, evidence for your manifestation doesn't precede, it follows. But if you're looking for evidence to support an intention of, why can I have this? Go for it, right? We do this all the time. When we talk to you in sessions or we talk to you in videos, we're sitting here and we're telling you, well, why can't you have your manifestation? Why are you telling yourself that just because you and your SP broke up and he said, I don't love you, that means that you can't get back together? Right? People do that all the time. People say that all the time. I know plenty of clients, including myself, where your partner has said, I don't love you. And then you break up and then you get back together and your love is amazing, right? So you can use logical evidence in your reality to support a belief. As a matter of fact, that's how beliefs become core beliefs, is because it is maintained and sustained by our 3D reality, okay? Because it's conformed and then confirmed, okay? So she went through this process. She, within 24 hours, had moved herself to the version of her who already was this beautiful, gorgeous, blonde-haired, hazel and blue-eyed woman, right? Who was the most beautiful woman on the world. And she started to see confirmation of that. She started to see confirmation of that because people were telling her, you are beautiful. You are one of the most beautiful women in the world. Have you seen yourself? You're absolutely gorgeous. I would literally kill for your body. I would kill for your looks. I would, all of these things. She started to see that. And so that's really what it is, guys. Her world started to conform. People started to show up. She started to see more and more evidence. Girls started to say, hey, you're absolutely beautiful and all these. And then her world completely confirmed it. Okay. And it's really just as easy as that. And guys, it took her 24 hours. That's it. That's all it took her. And this was a story. Her being an ugly duckling was a story that she has had for over 10 years. Over 10 years. She had been telling herself that she was not anything like these Scandinavian women, and so she could not be beautiful enough to have her desires. She was telling herself that. And all of the things that we talked about that she is consciously manifesting, all were pivoting off of this one condition that she had to be beautiful to have her desires. So I am so excited for her. She did the work. She leaned into this. She understood. I mean, she understood the assignment. Let me just put that. She understood the assignment. So now I am so excited to hear from her because I know that her other manifestations are flooding in. I know that they are. Now, the last thing I want to share is she did mention that she took action. You know, she said, hey, just like I put in my blue contact lenses, I'm also doing some applications to some jobs. Okay, guys, sometimes in the 3D, you still have to do 3D world work. Okay. You know, you may be manifesting for $5,000 in your bank account, but you have a $250 bill you have to pay. Okay. You're still going to have to pay your bill in the 3D, right? It's still going to have to happen. Sometimes you still have to do the 3D work. That's okay. It's okay. Okay. It is okay. I only want you to be concerned with that inspired action piece, right? Remember, it's only inspired action if you aren't questioning it, doubting it, etc. Right? If you're sitting there and you're questioning, you're wondering, you're waffling back and forth, the answer is no, don't do it. It's not inspired action. Okay. All right. I intend that this is an amazing video for you. And for all of you who are working on appearance changes, this is exactly what you needed to hear. This client success story is phenomenal. It blew me away. Like I said, 2 different visual representations of this person literally within a week, from one session to the next. It was outstanding. It was astounding. I was blown away. So she can do it. You can do it. She did it in less than 24 hours. Guys, this is so easy. This is so